Technical difficulties. Good evening, folks. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We're going back to that horrible world known as the JRC. But before we do, a few things. Those who watched my video from this morning knows that Neuroclastic, a non-for-profit made by autistics for autistics, is being threatened with a defamation lawsuit by the JRC. So, folks, you are going to find a link to the article in which the JRC is referencing that they wish to sue them over. And you are also going to see the crowdfund link in the description box. Please share that article, read that article, and also, if you can, donate. If you can't, share that crowdfund. We will not let the JRC intimidate us or anybody else into silence. And we are going back with gusto to what we do on this channel, exposing the stupidity, the inhumanity, and the cruelty, as well as the brainwashing that goes on in regards to the JRC. You are going to find the link to this list of letters sent by the Kool-Aid drinking parents right there in the description box, alongside the other pertinent links to the Stop the Shocks campaign, including Autistic Koya's massive archive on the subject and the templates, plus the ever-present self-explanatory change.org Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center Down petition. Folks, when we talk about the JRC, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please use your headphones, alright? It is 4:09. I am pissed. And I am ready to stand against these bastards. So, if I decide to go off into left field, take a left turn, and take another left turn, my apologies in advance, alright? Now, I want to mention something before we get into today's video. You notice a concurrent theme with the JRC, their propaganda, and the parents whose letters that they get sent out, right? It's always the worst case scenario every single time, because they are sending out this narrative that these kids are so severe that they have to be tortured into compliance or else they'll be dead. In fact, they put out this idea that they would be, without being tortured, they would be better off dead. And many of the parents who write these letters agree. They have drank the Kool-Aid, folks. And unfortunately, on a large scale, the media has bought it hook, line, and sinker. Helped along in their thinking by groups like Autism Fucking Speaks, their goddamn constant videos that hammer home the tragedy narrative every single goddamn day. So, that's why this channel is important, as small as it is. I know these vids do not get the same views as the ones for the JD versus AH case, or even when I decided to go straight into my nerd joy talking about Marvel. However, I'm not here for views. I'm not here to become famous. All I want to do is be able to reach out to people who would not otherwise know about what's going on in this place, so that they can tell a person, and then they can tell another person, and that they can tell another person, and be able to provide links and ways of action to assist in getting this place closed down. So, folks, if you want to give your assistance, please, the description box is important. Get that video out there of what happened to Andre McCollums. Let's make it viral again. Get out this letter that was put out by Neuroclastic. Help with the crowdfunds. Okay? It's more important now than ever. They want to silence us. They have had the control of the narrative thus far. Obviously, the fact that they are feeling threatened by a small non-for-profit means they're weak, and now is the time. All right? Okay, without further ado, let's read the more propaganda, concerned parent letter. Oh, no, this is from the Senate, New York Senate, excuse me. Dear JRC families, thank you for the July 10th letter where you expressed your shared concerns about your family members leaving JRC and receiving adult services in New York State. I am very sympathetic to your concerns, and I understand many of you had difficulties in the past getting the needed care for your family members. I want to assure you that OPWDD only wants the best for your family members, only wants to help them live rich, full lives in the community. Currently, your family members are at a school. This school is intended to serve students until they are 21 years old. Thank you! OPWDD doesn't have the long-term authority to fund individuals in school settings. Your children, as all children, should be afforded the opportunity to receive age-appropriate services and move on to their adult lives. Hallelujah! Thank you. The services offered by New York State providers are far more varied than those offered in school settings and are individually developed based on choices and interests of the individuals and their families. Thank you. That is person-centered planning, folks. And I promise you, it works. I've seen it. I help roll it out here in my state. I've seen it work time and time again. They need real transition services, not this bullshit. Each service plan is tailored to the individual and is revised as the individual interests and needs change. The common sense approach. I would like to take this opportunity to discuss some of the concerns shared in your letter and to assure you that OPWDD clinical staff will be reviewing each adult services plan developed by a provider to ensure the provider can meet your family members' needs. A concern mentioned is the letter and the families will be responsible for searching out services on their own. This is not the case. Thank you. It wasn't the case out here either when we started to close the institutions. We had a lot of parents fucking complaining, calling, driving us nuts. I know. I remember that. I thought my poor director, whew. We had plans in place, folks. We were a well-organized, well-oiled machine. We had already alternative services and in community living options for these folks ready and in place, and we're ready to start the transitioning process. It can be done, and yes, even on a large scale. As daunting as it is, it can be done. It has been done, and it's been done successfully. So, moving on. Sorry, I told you I'd go in left field and take a left. OPWDD has identified providers and will continue to identify providers that can serve your family members. OPWDD will do its best to provide families with a choice of providers. Another important concern mentioned in your letter is that many of you didn't have success with providers in New York State in the past, and that New York State providers are ill-equipped to serve individuals with severe behavior disorders. Many of those of your family many OPWDD-funded agencies serve individuals with challenging behaviors that are very similar to those of your family members and serve them successfully. Without torture, I might add. Thank you. Thank you. These agencies have behavior psychologists, psychiatrists, medical doctors, and nurses on their staff. They have staff with skill and the experience to work with individuals with challenging behaviors. In addition, OPWDD will not approve an agency to provide services unless our clinicians believe that the agency can provide appropriate services. There are checks in place, folks. There are boards like those that I used to participate on when in discussions about placing an individual within a program. Okay? It's not done willy-nilly. More importantly, with person-centered planning, we put the person with disabilities in the driver's seat. Okay? Okay? Shocking, isn't it? Prior to OPWDD making an official adult services offer, OPWDD clinical staff review a preliminary service plan for each individual to ensure the agency has appropriate staffing in place, that the agency has a behavior support plan in place. Thank you. And that the services described will meet the individual's needs and interests. This plan is sent to the family with the formal adult services offer so that family can review it before giving consent to the service offer. I understand that many of you remain concerned about the use of psychotropic medication with your loved ones. OPWDD has a rigorous process for approving the use of such medications, as does Missouri, as does most states. And absent an emergency, such medications cannot be used without your consent or court order. A year have not been used of psychotropic medications for these individuals. Although OPWDD cannot guarantee that psychotropic medication will never be used for a particular individual, we can assure you that you will be consulted if it is to be considered, and that the provider will discuss with you the reasons why it is believed the medication is necessary. In addition, medication, when used effectively, thank you, does not impair a person's ability to function, but instead increases individuals' ability to integrate into the community and fully participate in his or her own life. Thank you. Thank you. Contrary to popular belief, pharmacology has evolved since over 30 years ago, folks. I'm tired of the argument, but they're going to be drugged up all the time. I wasn't drugged up all the time. And strangely enough, until I didn't really need the Adderall anymore, it did actually help me a great fucking deal. Just saying. Saying. Once again, I encourage you to participate in the planning process. OPWDD has many opportunities available for your family members, and you can play an integral role in developing the services that will meet your family members' needs. You can choose to have your family member come home and receive the services needed to support him and her at home. You and your family members can self-direct the services and hire your own staff to provide for them. This is something that Centers for Independent Living have developed over the years, where the person with the disability and or their guardian or parent are able to hire and fire staff using funds that they receive through Medicaid. It's actually been quite successful, especially in assisting people with disabilities to live out on their own out in the communities, and having those staff come in to assist them with their day-to-day activities without, being stuck in a group home or a place like the JRC. It's actually been pretty damn successful so far, and a lot of people have preferred it over the more traditional provider settings. Your family members can live a small community residence in a shared apartment in his or her own apartment with supports. In some cases, you can help determine the location of the residence. I lived in a place like that. It was called Crowhaven. It's where I moved straight out of high school. It was used as a transition area for people with disabilities, where we had staff on hand to help if necessary, and I had what I called CIs, community integrators, that would come in once a week and make sure I was learning how to cook healthy, making sure that I was learning how to budget, basically teaching me life skills to be able to get about day to day. And since I didn't have transportation, they would also assist me in going to the grocery store, make sure I was keeping things tidy, living in a healthy environment, which actually helped me a great deal more than I realized at the time when I was having those services. Because, man, when I lost those services, it took me years to get back to where I was right before I lost those services. Just saying. It was actually a great place to be in. I was there about 6 years. And having that transition where you have people that will assist you to be able to get to your job and have those community integrators assist you in being out in the community, it works, folks. And one of those people who lived in that assisted apartment living community was someone with quote unquote severe behaviors autism. She held a job. She lived in her own apartment. She was taught how to cook in a safe manner. She had staff available to her when she needed it, but she was still a part of the community. You know what I'm saying? Just saying. So I ask for your cooperation. Please work with OPWDD and our provider partners to develop services for your family members. It is important that you make and keep appointments to see the types of services these agencies provide. You may also ask to talk with other parents, guardians of individuals served by these agencies. You are encouraged to share any concerns you may have as the services are developed for your family members. OPWDD would like both of you and your family members to be satisfied with the services provided. OPWDD cannot continue to provide funding for individuals after they complete their schooling. Please work with OPWDD to help shape the services your family members will receive and to help shape your family members' future. If you have any questions, please contact your DDRO representative. Attached is a list of coordinators for each county. Thank you. All I got to say is, how to call someone out on their bullshit without sounding like a prick. Right there, ladies and gentlemen. Right there. And these types of providers and types of options for receiving services are well known and used throughout my entire state. We helped develop a lot of them that have since gone nationwide since the early 2000s. And they work. And they work without torturing us or taking away our autonomy or all sense of privacy. So, on that note, I'm going to close out for this evening. We don't get very many views on this channel, especially on this subject. The few that we do get do tend to get removed from time to time. So don't forget to hit that like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. Also, don't forget to share that crowdfund for Neuroclastic. Let's show these bastards that they won't silence us. I thank you for your time, everyone, and as always, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. Bye-bye.